probably 10. Good evening and welcome to the October 24th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm Kathleen O'Donnell, sitting in for John Leonard, the chair of the Zoning Board. And with me this evening is Stephen Lundblom to my right and Nicholas Gray to my left. The proceedings are being televised. We ask people when you come up to speak that the reason you're using microphones is not because we won't be able to hear you, but that people watching television won't be able to hear you. So please be sure to use those microphones when you do come up. We have two matters before us today on the agenda. The first is an application of the Thayer Nursery for an amendment to their special permit to allow an annual holiday boutique on December 2nd, 2018 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Thayer Nursery at 270 Hillside Street in Milton. They have received a limited exception special permit with conditions for last year's event and have held this holiday boutique roughly since 1974. The nursery is located in a Residence A zoning district, and as I said, we have in this file an application from the Thayer Nursery and list of abutters. We also received a letter from an abutter, which I'm not going to read into the record, and but we will mention the issue that had been raised in there. But I do want to point out that if you are providing comments to the Board of Appeals on an application, some of the times we get letters that contain personal remarks, ad hominem insults, and other kinds of things. And those kinds of letters we won't read into the record and we won't consider them. So if you are in fact opposed to a particular application, we ask that if you're sending in a letter, you stick to the issues that are addressed in the application and don't throw in gratuitous remarks about the personal qualifications of the people making the application. And we just ask that you keep that in mind. Thank you. So, is anybody here from Thayer Nursery? Yeah. Thank you. You can just state your name, please.
Sure. Hi, my name is Maggie Oldfield, and I'm a town meeting member from Precinct 9, and along with my brother, I operate Thayer Nursery located at 270 Hillside Street. Since 2015, you have granted us a limited exception special permit allowing Thayer Nursery to host our annual holiday boutique. And since each permit was granted for only 1 year, I am back tonight with the same request. So 15 years ago, when my daughter Chandler was 2 and my son George was not quite 1, I wanted to take a picture for my Christmas card. As a working mom with limited time, I wanted to stay local as well as make it fun for my children. Everyone is always commenting that the nursery is like being out in the country, so we came up with the idea of hosting a community event that families of all ages could make part of their own Christmas tradition. The Holiday Boutique at Thayer Nursery has been a Milton tradition for almost 15 years. The Holiday Boutique provides a venue for talented craftspeople that do not have a brick and mortar storefront to showcase their creations. The age of our artisans have ranged from 8 years old to 80, and at each table is an individual that has put a lot of passion into their work. And behind every item is a story of how it came to be. As an independent business owner, I'm familiar with the personal and professional struggles of living your passion and following your dream. I believe part of my journey is to help others on theirs, and hosting the boutique is one of the ways I can help. While we play host to local creators and nonprofits, we give away hot dogs, hot chocolate, and dozens of cookies free of charge. Celebrations like this is a great way to bring the community together. Thayer Nursery is so much more than just a horticultural farm or a landscaping company. It is a hub for our neighborhood and a place for our community to come together. I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to meet and personally connect with so many creative and fun people. We want to assure you that protecting our neighborhood is always our first priority. Because my siblings and their families live alongside the nursery and we are raising our children ages 7 to 17, retaining the safety and the special character of our neighborhood is always our primary concern. We also want to reassure you that we will not be adding any additional noise for our event. In theory, any additional noise generated by this type of event would be minimal and would be shouts of cheer and laughter. The boutique is held during the day during our regular business hours with no additional use of equipment. Our request is extremely limited in scope and makes good use of our existing farm. It is a natural extension of our mission to develop successful and personal experiences in creating lasting customer friendships while supporting a local legacy of agriculture and community. The boutique does not take away from our prominent use of the land, which is agriculture. Having community events that support many of the vendors who already participate at local farmers market preserves this prominent use notion. This one-day event is a de minimis use that benefits the community. We are asking you to please grant this limited exception special permit for one day. I understand that the same past conditions and limitations would apply. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Steve or Nick?
Yes, Maggie. How many participants would you say?
Every year is slightly different, but we kind of hope for about 20.
So about 20 tables. Does it all take place outdoors? Or is
It's actually inside, so we have our greenhouse, and that's where most of the tables are set up. We actually supply the tables and set the tables up for our vendors, unlike the other farmers market. That way we can set up inside a couple days before, and so there's not as much activity on that one day. And then we also do have our 1790s barn that if we need an overflow space, they're in there. But that's not the ideal space because it's an unheated space, but sometimes they're there.
Okay. Have you run into any issue in the last couple of years with parking?
No, so we work closely with the Milton Police. One of the requirements of this exception is for us to contact the police. Then the police will come up or ask us to post no parking signs. So they provide the signs, these bright orange signs, and then we post them on one side of the street. And so there's always room for traffic or emergency vehicles to get by. But we have 5 acres on our main site, as well as another 4.5 across the street. So we try to park as many people on our property as possible.
I just noticed from the last year's permit, there's a condition to obtain a police traffic detail. Did you do that last year?
Yes, yep. So we put in a request to the police department. Last year, there wasn't a Milton police available, so a policeman from Randolph came.
I don't have any other questions.
Nick?
No questions.
We did get the letter that we did get made mention of using the detail cop and made some comments about that. I noticed that in the warrant for this town meeting, we've now, I believe, passed it last night, allowing for a retired policeman from Milton to be used for detail purposes. And so I would encourage you to do that, take advantage of that particular provision of the new bylaw, because I think that there's more familiarity from a Milton policeman than there might be for somebody from some other town. So I would encourage that. I don't think that would be a condition, but
Yeah, no.
something that, just keep in mind that that's a new provision of the town meeting that just passed yesterday.
Right, so I was there.
Yeah.
And, but I still think we have to put it, a request
Yeah.
through the police department.
Yes.
And then it's up, I think, to the police department, either fill it through their department.
Right.
Or then if no one is available, then I think they sub it out to different towns.
Yep.
So we don't really have control over that until the day of the event, and they
Fair
just
enough.
show up.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the, yes?
I would like to,
Absolutely. You're welcome.
thank you. My name is Phil Johanning. I live at 23 Parkwood Drive in Milton. I'm a direct abutter of Thayer Nursery. And I guess I was concerned about the town and its support of Thayer Nursery, or lack of support last year. In the original special permit that Thayer had, there was never supposed to be parking on Hillside Street, Forest Street, and I think it's up to the police department to post those signs. Personally, as I recall last year, they were posted on one side, and I think Forest Street is not capable of supporting parking on both sides, and Hillside Street is a major thoroughfare in our neighborhood, and I feel like no parking should be permitted on Hillside Street. But the most important thing is, I think the police department in Milton needs to go and post the signs so that they're truly posted in the right areas. I also think that with respect to Parkwood Drive, parking should be permitted only on one side so that emergency vehicles can get through in the event that there is an emergency. I did, I noticed that, I agree with Maggie, they did get a Randolph police officer to be present on the site. But as I came and went last year doing errands, I never saw him at all. So I went over and I was trying to find, where is he? These aren't the greatest pictures, but the problem was that he was actually, that's for the record, that he was actually not in the street, not directing traffic, but he was walking around Thayer Nursery. At no time did I see him actually physically present in the road. I don't know to what extent Maggie has any control over that. I suppose they were certainly paying the detail, and I don't know to what extent she can involve herself in what he does exactly, but at no time did I see him physically in the road. And that's really the purpose. That was my goal last year as I attended and asked to be sure that there was a police officer, because there's enhanced vehicle traffic and there's pedestrian traffic, and he needs to be physically present in the street to assist the people who are attending the event. I'm happy for Maggie that the event is well attended, but the town has an obligation to see to it that public safety is premier among the concerns. Maggie should run her business, but the town should make sure that residents are safe who attend the event. And I don't feel that happened. One, I don't understand why there was no Milton police officer available. I don't know.
You just
But-
explained why.
No, she said that they were all busy. She didn't say why.
They were
I don't understand why John,
They
I'm
assigned
speaking
the
though.
Randolph
Yeah,
office.
I'm speaking.
So I'm
You can ask me
explaining to you why there
questions.
was no.
You can ask me questions later. But she said that they were busy. She didn't say what
I heard
exactly
what
they
I
were
heard.
doing. Okay, that's good. That's fine, but I'm
Let me ask you
speaking.
this, when you surveilled the officer for the photographs here, did you surveil him for the full 6 hours?
No,
So you don't know whether or not he was
I
out in the
went
street.
by the nursery on multiple
You
occasions.
don't know whether or not he was never
All
out
right,
in the street.
okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. I only live
I
right
asked- I
behind the
just
nursery.
asked one simple question.
No, I was not there for 6 hours. Why would I
You
be?
don't know. You made the statement that he did not do any traffic enforcement, but you weren't there for the full 6 hours to know that. I just wanted to make that point.
That's good.
I think it's important.
Would I be expected to do the town's job? And then,
You're the one who brought
let's...
the photograph, sir.
Yeah.
And made the
I got it.
statement that there
I
was no
got it.
traffic enforcement.
Yeah, and there wasn't, because I went by there multiple times.
But you don't
And I
know
never
that.
saw him in the street.
You don't really know that for sure.
That's an outrageous claim. I'm expressing my concern as a resident, and I
And
expect you to listen
I'm asking for some
respectfully.
factual
Respectfully,
And I
respectfully.
am.
So, my observation was that he was not providing effective traffic control for vehicles or persons. Okay, that's my observation. Additionally, Mr. Prondak, who is responsible for zoning enforcement, and zoning enforcement includes the provisions of a special permit, I also did not observe him to be there. And that I find to be a major drawback. There are a couple of aspects to this whole process. One is to create the special permit with provisions to protect the public, let's say. And the other is enforcement. And my experience with this whole affair over the 10 years that I've lived here is that there is zero enforcement on the part of the town. And I think
So
going forward...
are we moving outside the holiday boutiques
No,
application
because
here,
that's-
or are we?
No, that's
we getting
part
into all
of,
the-
that's part of what I'm talking about. The fact that we made a provision and there was no enforcement of the provision, at least from my perspective.
From your perspective.
Yeah. So the point is that, if we're going to make provisions as a town to a special permit, we should be in a position to enforce those provisions. And that means that someone, maybe like Mr. Prondak, needs to make a trip there and see that all the provisions of the special permit are being observed, even if it's on a weekend.
Do you know for a fact that Mr. Prondak was not there the whole day?
I wasn't sitting there.
Right, well, but you're making these statements to the effect that Mr. Prondak was not there, but you don't know that.
Well, if you want to go into...
You don't know that.
If you want to go into
And you made
my...
the statement that the police officer wasn't doing traffic, but you don't know that, sir.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
If you want to go into my whole experience...
I really
with-
don't. No, we don't.
I know. And
We really don't.
I have sufficient experience with special permits at Thayer Nursery that I know that enforcement is extremely lax. And that's all I'm expressing to you as a resident and as a citizen. So take it for what it's worth. And I hope that in the future you'll wait for me to finish before you address your questions to me so that I can finish in the way I wanted to. Any questions for me?
I'm reading the special permit and from last year, and in paragraph 3, which talks about the issue you're talking about, requires Thayer to talk to, communicate with, and work cooperatively with the Milton Police Department and the Fire Department. But the steps concerning the traffic flow and concerning the safety are in the hands of the Milton Police Department and the Fire Department, not Thayer Nursery. So I just would point out that I think your issues are well taken. I understand what you're saying, but it's up to the police department to enforce the traffic part of it, not Thayer so much. You see what I'm saying? Thayer has to cooperate with them. That was the requirement.
And I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. They followed the procedure from what I was told to be able to hire the detail officer in the usual manner.
And I wasn't there for 6 hours.
Yeah, well, I
I'll
understand
admit.
that.
But
Hard
from
to
my
be there.
perspective,
Yeah.
he was not doing what
Right.
he was there to do.
Okay.
And so I get into the idea of enforcement. This is a zoning Board of Appeals. It's making a zoning special permit.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that someone is obligated to make sure, an employee of the town is obligated to ensure that the provisions of the special permit are respected.
Understood. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is exactly that point, which is the part of the special permit that Mr. Prondak would be enforcing is Thayer's cooperation rather than the way the police is handling the traffic. Do you see what I'm saying? It's more that, because that's what is in our permit. That's the requirement. It would be more to enforce that Thayer is properly, as I read it, properly following the requirements. The requirements are on Thayer to cooperate, not so much to police the police in the execution of the park.
I guess I don't understand the board's decision
Yeah.
to demand that there be a detail on site if they were there to do nothing.
I think that's I think the board's requirement is that there is police detail there, and that was complied with. I don't think we get involved with what the police's job is as far as the enforcing the traffic. That's sort of
It
beyond
was
our
all
purview.
about public safety.
Yeah, but-
And that's a requirement of a special permit, in my opinion.
Right,
As I
but
read the
we-
enabling,
Yeah.
as I read the enabling bylaw, and as I read the state law that provides for the enabling bylaw, I believe that public safety has to be a main concern of the board in allowing a special permit.
Right, and we've
so
addressed
if-
that by putting a condition
then.
in there that says that they have to use the fire department and the police department.
Yeah.
So we can't
Dictate.
order the police department to do things. All we can do is say that in the permit, that Thayer has to get a detail cop, has to work with the fire department and the police department. If the fire department and the police department decide that, they're not interested or something, not that that would be the case, but we don't have any jurisdiction over what the police and the fire department do.
I'm not criticizing Thayer.
Yeah.
I'm criticizing the town in supporting the event, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
This is about public safety. That's what it's about. There are people, children, adults walking across the street. There are no sidewalks in our neighborhood. The streets tend to be narrow. The streets are overgrown with trees and bushes. It is not particularly, high visibility. I'm saying that there are certain requirements that need to be considered in allowing an event like this, which tends to draw pedestrian and vehicular traffic. That's all
well, I
I'm
think
saying.
that
And to the
Ms.
extent-
Oldfield's been here, and I think she's heard your concerns and heard
Okay.
and so what we would, as I said, we don't have any jurisdiction over what the police and the fire department can do and what the town is going to do. All we can say is that yes or no, we would issue a one-day permit for this, and we would recommend, in this hearing, that Ms. Oldfield remembers that when she's talking to the police detail, that his job is not to be monitoring things on the site itself, but to be monitoring access and parking and that sort of stuff.
Okay, I'll be sure and go to Mass that Sunday morning and pray that no one is injured.
Let me ask you a question before you go. Since the last boutique last year, did you go to the police or fire department and raise any of these concerns about your
I have
issues
talked to
with
John
safety?
King. I find him unresponsive as a town employee.
Well, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it, and we'll certainly take your comments into consideration. Thank you. Anything else?
Not from me. I don't know.
Any questions? Any other questions?
No, just to defend this poor policeman from Randolph. He, that's the corner, that's at our entrance. And that's on Forest Street. So his position through the whole entire event was really right at the entrance of our nursery, so we could view the street. We provide at least 6 to 8 of our own employees for parking, and they all have walkie-talkies, and the policeman is there to help and escort people across the street if needed, but I think he did an excellent job last year.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I think all we can do is, say, you need to work with the police department and the fire department. It's kind of up to them to decide what they want to do. So I don't think we could tell either one of those chiefs how to handle the job.
I certainly wouldn't want to.
I would entertain a discussion about taking a vote.
Sure, I'll start. I think that the application was very well presented by Maggie. She does a fantastic job up there. It's been years since I've been up there to the boutique. We used to go up with our kids when they were younger, but it's a great success. It's a one-day, 6-hour event. People rave about it. In fact, I was speaking to somebody in town today who talked about the fact that they would go out there and get their holiday pictures and the tree, and sometimes it'd be snow around, and it was just really nice, and it's a well-attended event. I don't think there's really anything we need to add to tighten up anything on the permit itself.
I don't think so either.
I'm glad you explained that process with respect to Milton going to Randolph to get the detailed police officer. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. And as we've talked about, we're not here to police the police, to tell them how to do the job. I'm sure that traffic and safety and kids walking around is right within their focus when they're up there. So barring anything out of the ordinary, I would tend to vote to renew the permit.
That's what I don't have any further questions.
And I'm in favor of it as well. Not that I've ever been, but, well.
Well, it's a very nice event. The kids from the high school chorus come on up, and we make a donation to them. It's a great event for the boosters. They come and sell all their booster gear, so, and then our customers who attend, they are always donating to a charity of choice, and in the past, they've donated several $100s to the food pantry and to the animal shelter, so I think the customers, and really, it's really the whole town of Milton are great, and they want to support all other Milton projects.
That's great, that's great. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, and we'll see you on the first Sunday in December.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.
Do we just take the same thing?
Same one, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I'll do it, doesn't matter. But we're just going to just restate the language and
Yeah, we're just
redate
gonna,
it, basically,
the same thing,
with the new date and so
Yeah.
forth, yeah. Okay, great.
yeah. And I don't know what we do with the police department, but
I'm sure they can figure out how
they
to
can watch
direct
us on
traffic
television,
the
now
street.
they know.
Yeah, now they know.
Because I'm sure they're riveted.
I'm sure they're not watching anything else at this time.
Okay, so the next hearing we have before us is Jared and Jessica Crowley, who have applied for a variance on the setback. They want to build a 24 by 34 second floor addition to 6 Hope Avenue at a distance of 17 feet from the front lot line and 9.32 inches from the left side lot line.
Looks like I got the wrong case.
Yeah, that's the...
That's fine.
So the application is dated September 6th, 2018, and I would point out that I think all of us got the wrong one. We got Standish instead.
I got Spanish, yeah.
So did I.
Okay, that's fine.
I have it.
I'll share.
I have Hope Ave.
So, sorry about that.
Printed out the wrong one.
So, so as I said, 2 setbacks requests, and we have a letter from Inspectional Services, the building commissioner, dated August 9, 2018, discussing the second floor addition at 6 Hope Avenue, and mentioning that the age of the house was approximately 1935. It's dimensionally pre-existing non-conforming, and so there was an issue with both the front the front yard setback and the side yard. And we have, in addition to his letter, we have a plot plan dated July 1st, 2016, showing the house on Hope Avenue and the setbacks. We have a copy of the assessor's plan, and also drawings of the proposed addition. I think that's the, was that the existing? No. And I assume that the two people sitting in here are Mr. and Mrs. Crowley. You want to come on up and tell us what what we're looking at here with these plans?
No, I've got it. This is it.
So welcome to the board.
Thank you for having us, and sorry to take you away from game 2.
Talk fast.
6 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
Catch or whatever.
I don't know
We're
if-
just doing the lineup right now. So.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I'll be as elegant as Maggie was, but I am Jared Crowley. This is my wife, Jessica
Welcome
Crowley,
to the board.
and we live at 6 Hope Ave. Our intentions are essentially, obviously, to take the existing bungalow roof off of the home and go up a second floor. We bought the home in July of 2015 while my wife was pregnant, and immediately I pulled the permit on the first floor to remodel the first floor. Gutted the kitchen, gutted the bathroom, and probably 3/4 of the house made it so that it was our house. Very happy with it. We had our first son, Julian, and then things happened and we ended up with another one. So currently we are living in a 810 square foot home that is wonderful right now, but the 2 kids growing up, it's getting tougher.
They could call it, apparently.
They love being in the same room at this time, but I can see that changing very shortly. So my intention when we first bought the property, I loved the town, I loved the area. We adapted with the neighbors very quickly. It is a super family-friendly neighborhood. Just directly across the street is the bus stop, and there has to be between 18 to 20 kids that are outside every day, and that is exactly why we love where we live. Currently, the home does not really function as a family home, and I would like to make it into a family home if possible. The existing non-conforming part, I am a builder by trade, so I'm used to doing a lot of this stuff. I was unaware at the time, to my dismay, but of the non-conforming literature in the bylaw that typically you can't go straight, well, typically a lot of towns you can go straight up. I was unaware, so obviously with your decision, I was hoping to go up with the existing non-conforming and essentially reducing, like at this current time, I have 14-inch overhangs on the house. I'm going to reduce those to 9-inch. And again, I haven't done a lot on the property except for the interior because I was hoping to add on to the house and make it my own. So I didn't want to do things twice. And currently, the property, it's an eyesore, to be honest with you, just because I haven't touched the outside, just hoping that I would be able to do something else with it. And when I first bought the property, the home directly next to me, which is 10 Hope Ave, is exactly what I wanted to do. And I have a picture which shows the house, which is identical to what I was looking to do. And the second picture is one that shows it's the exact same house with the exact same proximity off the street. And again, the house that we live in right now is in dire need of repair. The soffits and the old 2x6 rafters that are holding the house together are essentially falling apart. So I do need to at least address the rafters anyways. So I was hoping that the board would look kindly on that.
What's the total square footage you're adding, 24 by 34?
Yeah, it's like 810 square feet, so.
With the living space? Plus you're adding another
Yeah, so
It's just
Straight up.
full
exact
second
footprint,
floor.
so
straight
yeah.
up? Okay.
What's on the second floor now?
It's just it's a bungalow style house with a very slow pitched roof, so.
Yeah, I can see that. So there's just, that's just attic space?
It's
now?
just attic space, yes.
So it's really the front that you're impacting, it's kind of minimal on the side.
Yeah, on the side, it becomes conforming about halfway down, or not, maybe not even halfway down. But it's the front that, and again, the front porch that's existing will not be touched. It will just be facelifted, just re-sided, essentially.
The house next door at 10,
10 Hope
was
Avenue.
that recently constructed?
It was, they must have done the addition probably about 15 years ago, I'd like to
Oh,
say.
really? Because we just had an application, I thought it was Hope Ave, it was one of the, very similar to this, but in this neighborhood.
There was one on Pine Grove that was just taken down and rebuilt, but that one,
Oh, yeah, right, right.
I know I sat on one very similar to this, and I lived on Church Street at one point, so I know the area well, and,
okay.
We love the area.
yeah. it's a
Like I
good-
said, it's a super family, and when we had bought in the home, it was a couple our age with with kids the exact same age that, and I don't want to say he wasn't good with doing house things, but I looked at it with a lot of potential.
Right.
Have you talked to your neighbors at all? Do you have
I
letters?
have. We have very good relations with them. I didn't, I'm actually on like the board for the music festival.
Oh, yeah.
I try to keep in touch with a lot of people in town, but I didn't have them, I didn't want to drag them out on a Wednesday night and have them speak for me, but.
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes it's good to have sort of a letter that says,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like from the next door neighbor that says that, you know, they're okay with it.
Okay, all right.
So you might want to, it would be great.
I'll make a few phone calls right now.
Yeah, no, you don't have to do that, but I mean,
Yeah.
you could sort of submit that.
Okay.
That, just we have that for the record.
Oh, absolutely.
That the people on, you know, on the closest side to you
Yes.
are not objecting.
Okay, yeah, and I actually asked Nora, my neighbor who lives at 10, just if she was okay even me using pictures of her house, and
Yeah.
she said she was very pleased. She was looking forward to it.
And the Staffords actually said they'd write us a letter.
Yes, the Staffords.
They told us they'd be happy to.
Yeah.
They're like $3, $4 down.
And Brian Kelly, which I'm sure
Yeah.
would be a good reference as well. Everybody knows Brian.
Exactly. And the only reason I ask is that, you know, when you're, you get a variance, which is something that boards are not supposed to be giving on a routine basis, although we usually do, is that it's better to have sort of in the record support for that decision from neighbors, so it doesn't
Okay.
show that there's no objection, you're not causing, you know, harm to the abutters and that sort of thing. So it makes us feel a little more comfortable about giving a variance if we know that we have neighborhood support.
Yeah. On the other hand, they got notice,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And they're not here, so that's,
Yeah.
No shows are good shows.
It's a good night for,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you really lucked out on that.
so, and you'll end up residing the whole of the house after you do the addition.
Exactly, yeah, and that's why I've been procrastinating about really doing anything with the house. And like I said, at this point, it really is an eyesore every time I pull up to the house.
And you're going with clapboard or shingles? It looks like clapboard.
Well, yeah, on those renderings, I'm just going to do essentially vinyl siding on the sides and then cedar impressions on the front to kind of mimic the house next door.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
We don't have anyone in the audience?
Are you sure?
Somebody underneath the desk? You never know. Any other questions, Steve?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Are we ready to
Sure.
make a move? All those in favor of granting the requested variance?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
variances, yeah, both of them.
Great.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'll bring
So-
letters. I'll bring letters down too.
So what will happen is that one of us will be drafting that decision.
Okay.
It gets to Beverly and it gets filed with the town clerk. And then after 20 days, if none of your neighbors file an
Yes.
objection, you get that permit and then that variance, and you're going to record it at the Registry of Deeds in Dedham,
Okay,
okay?
that sounds
So
good.
that makes that, everyone knows that your second floor is legal, which will be an issue when and if you decide to sell it. So it's
there for a
very
while.
important to put that, it's very important to put that on record,
Okay,
okay?
beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Enjoy the
And
space.
you've only
Yeah.
missed the first, 3 innings.
No, that's
One
all right.
pitch, probably,
This was,
yeah.
this was worth it.
Few commercials.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
Okay, will do.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll eye that, sure.
Okay.
What did I bring in? The wrong one?
No, you didn't. Thank you. Is that when you emailed it to us, I got the one for Stitch.
I think so. I printed out what was on the email. I didn't look closely to see what was on there, so.
Yeah, maybe it was
I
something
might have
else.
booted it.
Maybe I was looking at
Funny,
something
yeah.
else.
I don't know.
I sent out Standish looking for,
I don't know.
for
Okay,
the 27th.
we are adjourned.